Hey y'all, it has been a minute. I haven't ranted on this channel in forever. I'm here. Hey, I look a mess, so y'all ain't gonna be just seeing me or whatever, y'all, because I honestly just got up and I just had a word in my spirit, y'all. So, first of all, I've just been busy. I've been working. The summer has been insane, even though it's been way longer than a summer right now. Like, it's been so long. Like, but it's okay because I have been thinking about this channel and like what I want to talk about on this channel because this is really just my ranty kind of channel. And that's why it's called Hovers and Dragonfly, because it's just about what I observe regularly and want to talk about. So there's no pressure here. This is an open forum. If you have your opinions, you can let me know whatever in the comments or in the live stream if I'm live streaming or whatever, right? But anyways, today I was sitting back and well, this morning I was looking at Bigo. Y'all, Bigo is ratchet. It's crazy. I sometimes take breaks from Bigo because it's just such a ratchet ass place. The stuff that shows up on Big O is crazy, but I think it is great people watching. Like, it's awesome in that aspect, and I get to kind of observe people and just see what people are doing. Um, Piques my curiosity, and recently, y'all. So I have talked on this channel about relationships and my theories and whatnot about that type of stuff. Um, and this somewhat goes into that, but at the same time, it's not totally about that. So, um, we might go a little off the rails with this one. But in general, I have kind of mentioned the whole like Nature Boy scenario. I don't know if I said his name when I mentioned it. I think I may have just been talking about the people and what I saw happening. Um, and basically, I've been watching this new guy on Bigo, General Simba. And mind you, y'all, it has been, I don't know if this is something that is just a trend or like a sign of the times, but like all of these nature boy types have been kind of coming out of the woodworks, or just people who profess to want polydynamics and stuff like that. And they're doing it in different ways. But what I've noticed in general about them is they all have like some type of philosophy that they're teaching and preaching. And it makes me go into just thinking about in general, does that type of energy in general have to come with that? So a lot of times, like when I see these guys professing to be super spiritual, and then they have the whole get up, like the locks, a lot of times they like to wear costumes to a degree. You know what I'm saying? I've noticed that when it comes to these types of guys. This guy that I've been watching recently, General Simba, he got a feather through his hair, but there's a lot to just, when I look at him, it's clear that, he read a couple of things, but he stopped. He stopped reading, he stopped evolving, he stopped understanding for real. And I feel like, while I in general think that there's some good to evolving, this is an ugly part of the healing process. Oh my God. Watching, because clearly this guy has read some books. He's shown us in a few live streams that he read some books, and he, you know, has read some metaphysical things which are absolutely true, and come across some things, some principles, some ways of living life that are absolutely healthy. I feel like he doesn't really understand what he's doing yet. He's kind of like stopping at just the basics. And I'm talking about him, but I mean this across the board. I feel like the Bible, in a lot of ways, the way that it was presented to Black people and people in general, because let's not just make this about Black people. I do talk about Black people because I'm clearly what they call Black or whatever, but at the same time, I'm like, they gave this, it's not just Black people who are Christians. There's like so many different sects of people that are Christian and other religions that use the Bible. You get what I'm saying? But the way that it has been presented, and this is the important part, is that it makes people think, first of all, that when they read something, it's true. I know that seems like a black and white statement. Hold on before you click off, honey. I know that everybody that reads the Bible doesn't believe this per se. But when you're young, like during those younger times or whatever, and you're getting taught the Bible, you're getting taught whatever religion you are in, it's done in such a black and white way. Like, this is true. And if you don't believe this, this will happen to you. And I think that it creates this misunderstanding sometimes in kids, especially because nobody really tells you it out loud. I know it's something that they kind of assume you learn over time, but I feel like it dawns on people at different times and different points in their life that basically you could pick up a different book per se. Like, it could even be like something simple, like a how-to book. And in a how-to book, you might follow the instructions, and whatever you're trying to make, you might make a version of it, because the first time you're always going to be crap at it the first time. And unless you're just naturally somewhat knowing or whatever, but that's very rare in a lot of cases. Often, as you learn a thing and you read more or you observe more people doing it, or you just live more life and kind of even observe the materials and the objects, things begin to change. And a lot of times you go back to the original book you were reading or the original instructions you followed, and you realize, oh, this wasn't all the way everything. It was beginner friendly or whatever, because I was able to follow the instruction through and through, but it wasn't, the maybe best practices, or just in general, like, people over time, of course, they evolve things and they find better ways to do things, easier ways to do things, efficient ways. They find other materials to use, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that this type of what I'm talking about doesn't necessarily get taught in public school. I'm gonna say public school because, you know what, they probably go over this in schools where you have to freaking pay tuition, like Montessori school, when you're kids and stuff, and you kind of learn the process of creating, because, you know what I mean, there's a process to it. You know so anyways, what I was saying about the Bible in a lot of ways is like, it makes people misunderstand that, like, reading something in black and white doesn't always make it true. I don't care even if it's like someone who's world renowned or these types of things. So this guy, General Simba, as well as Nature Boy, as well as a lot of these people, they freaking read these books clearly, because they always have the same kind of conclusions that they draw. And you can see it in the way that they live and the way they choose to, like, do stuff. But I feel like they stopped there. That's where they stop. They don't go any further. And it's so evident. Like, okay, so Simba, just by looking at him, he's so skinny, bruh. Like, he has long locks, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not against locks or anything like that, but he's so skinny for a man. You get what I'm saying? And he has adopted the vegan diet, and he is probably a raw vegan, because I believe he only eats like fresh fruits and vegetables. And there's a lot of people who've kind of adopted that diet. And while I do feel like, eating fruits and vegetables is definitely healthy, that's definitely, you know what I'm saying, you cannot live your life just eating fruits and vegetables, okay? And it becomes evident in the way your body looks over time as you do it. Because, yes, you'll lose weight. And if you're already like maybe overweight, this could be a good thing. But over like a large period of time, like for life in general, you cannot do that because simply his body has gotten to a point where he doesn't have any fat on his body, not even a little bit, where to the point where you're looking at him and you can see his whole vein anatomy. I can see the vein going from his what's this thing called, your shoulder across your chest and down your rib. Now I can clearly see his muscles too, and a few of his bones, as I'm looking at his body. But through his arm, I could see his full vein structure, y'all. And it's just terrifying. It looks a mess in a lot of, and when I say a mess, I'm not just roasting y'all, because this is a grown man. So you're supposed to have some body weight to you. He's actually tall too, which makes this even worse, means that he really has no fat at all. And here's where I know that he's having lack of understanding. And this is where a lot of people perish, is because, okay, things like fat, we learned this in science, that fat holds nutrition or nutrients. It's where the vitamins store themselves. If you are, for example, a vegan, it'd be important that you do take in quite a few types of fats. Most of the time it's going to be a plant fat like avocado, so that when you do get nutrients into your body can actually absorb it, because that's where the nutrients is held. You get what I'm saying? So even if you're eating a bunch of nutritious things, right, your body cannot store them without fat. You have to have fat. I know that the world, this weird society and its principles about being fat or skinny, has made us believe like fat is a curse word or something like that. And people are just afraid of fatness, even to the point of like, girl, people are injecting themselves. And I get it, especially if someone has diabetes and that's their medicine. I'm not at all, holding that against them. But I'm talking about the people who are just strictly like, okay, a weight loss situation. I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but back in the 80s, this would have looked so crazy, okay? If you think about the era of the 80s and what was going on in the whole crack era, the hair, all of this stuff, right? But now it's they even will put it on a commercial, someone getting ready to inject themselves. It's such a crazy situation. Like, I don't know what this is gonna look like in 15 years or so. And I'm like laughing, but not really. It's like a nervous laugh, y'all, because it's just like, this is just so crazy to me. So clearly, like, we'll get back to Simba, right? Because I don't even want to dive into that on this live. Maybe I'll talk about it in a different live. Like, it's so crazy, it almost makes it come to my eye with just the craziness. But with him, like, me just looking at this man, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, why is it that when we read the basics, you know what I'm saying, of things, why is it that, we tend to stay in that basic level and don't evolve past it? So if you are a person who only eats meat, that's probably not a good thing. Why can't we ever just meet in the middle, right? And say, okay, the vegan is not totally wrong. The carnivore is not totally wrong. But usually, right, heaven, or what we call balance, is somewhere in the middle, okay? I used to say this a lot when I used to live in California, because California has so many vegans. But I do love California because they have a lot of places where you can go And, just get like something healthy to eat or a healthy snack, something real quick. Unlike, some places in the South where it's like you want something quick, it's definitely not going to be healthy. So, you know, what I'm saying is you can have your vegan meals, you can have your vegetarian meals. And I know, like I just mentioned, avocado as a plant fat, but the thing about plant fats is that they're way too lean. They're so lean that if you only eat plant fats, you'll drop weight so quickly if you just don't have enough food in general that it doesn't stay on the body. You know what I'm saying? So that if you were ever to go through with, I hate to be like the person to be like, oh, if you have a rainy day, like blah 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 blah, because that's also kind of a lack driven thought. But in general, I'm just saying that you can't go long periods without food or nutrients, which is why a lot of vegans and vegetarians have to take a lot of supplements, because you can't go so long without food if the only fat that's on your body is a plant fat. You need kind of more what we call durable. Okay, so this brings me into the other space. So I'm not going to use food because I know food offends people a lot. For me to talk strictly about food, it's like, okay, it's kind of a touchy subject, right? But the other principle, which will tie into this and make you understand what I'm saying, he grounds himself, but in the most archaic way. Okay, so when I first learned about grounding, I was very much so put your feet on the grass, and it's interesting how, like, recently that'll be like kind of like an insult now. People like do it to kind of roast each other, like, go touch grass. Like, what are you doing? Like, blah, 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 right? And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Go touch grass. That's a good way to start, right? But as human beings, we're kind of like a fragile species. Okay. So that is the basic root principle, is that ground has this negative frequency, negative meaning just the negative or positives, not good or bad, right? It has negative charge, and it allows you to remove the static from your body, and it improves circulation. It can improve focus and these types of things, and as well as just keep your body connected to the earth, which we tend to understand that we are made from earth material as people. All right. So yeah, y'all, this is my little phone cover, girl. I do not have my camera open all the time, girl. But yeah, so we understand that grounding is good, but putting your feet on grass is the most archaic way of grounding, and I'm gonna explain that. So another part of this principle is the no shoes thing. A lot of times these guys who go into spirituality, like the first few years, you would hope anyway that they will evolve past this, but they basically believe we shouldn't wear shoes. And this guy, Simba, he will be literally walking around the streets of Atlanta with no shoes on. Now, I've seen him wear shoes, so it's not like he doesn't own a pair, but it's like you're walking around the streets of like a major city, okay? So, where the evolution needs to happen is understanding that, okay, boom, as human, we're fragile. Like, our skin is soft, we don't have exoskeleton, etc. We cannot just walk around on the pavement. Does that mean that we have to wear the rubber shoes? No. Rubber shows the fact that we're using rubber in our shoes shows actually how unevolved we are as a whole society, because clearly being grounded is a good thing. But then we're going to deal in the realm of materials where we're going to say, okay, boom, okay, rubber isn't the best material, so we should look for a better material, right? And then when we have to deal with material, we have to deal with durability, like what I was talking about with plant fat versus animal fat. durability. Okay, y'all, stay with me here. Okay, because I'm making an analogy so you can understand, because this is the truth throughout most principles and situations. You have to kind of evolve how and what you're using and how you're doing things. So while you can put your feet on the ground, your feet are not safe on the ground because there are sharp objects. There are insects that could bite you. There are animals that could bite you, actually. I was about to say animals and I stopped myself, but it's true. I live in Texas now. There are rattlesnakes. You know what I'm saying? There are things the reasons why you cannot walk around barefoot. I know that the people want to believe that the society, that's what we all should do once we read that one principle of freaking grounding, because we know it's true and it's right. But we just stop there. Okay. We don't evolve the thought and say, okay, boom, yes, rubber shoes are quote unquote bad. But, and in this capitalistic society and with people who clearly want to take advantage of us, they're not going to tell us this, right? But what most people see is this lack, right? And say, oh, like, why are they doing this to us? Da, 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 da. Whereas there is an opportunity here for industry. Okay. This is what I see. And this is what I feel like your thoughts evolve once you realize these type of things. It's like, okay, boom, we're not using the correct, material, because now we're not just talking about durability. We're also talking about the ability to also be connected to ground while wearing shoes and protecting our fragile feet and our fragile skin, which is also not just susceptible to insects, animals, and sharp objects, but fungus. Okay. If you walk around in grass all the time, just purely putting your feet on grass and not putting some type of barrier like a blanket or something down, because you can do that too. If you just want to walk around in grass and you feel like this is the best way to be grounded, you could put down a blanket or a towel and you can do it, because the blanket or the towel is not going to disrupt the connection, right? Because it's not rubber. So you can do that, because dogs pee in the grass, other animals pee in the grass, and there is fungus that can get onto your feet called ringworms. And you can then have a different problem here. Okay. So this is the thing here. We need a better material to use to protect our feet that is also durable, so that when we walk around in the grass, we can be connected without being infected. Hello. Hi. I just made a freaking rhyme, y'all. So this is where I feel like if more people thought like this, right, you see an opportunity for growth in the world, and you see an opportunity to receive wealth. You see a place where we can work towards something, and it's not just the end all be all, whatever. So then I go back to my discussion about animal fat versus plant fat. Animal fat is like rubber. It has the durability, right? Some animal fat is more tough than others, meaning it's going to stay on the body longer, but also it means it's going to hold nutrients, et cetera, et cetera. Recently, I just made a bone broth in my kitchen, and um, it's so nutritious. It has minerals. A lot of people talk about how we don't get our minerals from the water anymore. You can get minerals from bones, from animal bones. You can get collagen from animal bones. It helps our hair, skin, nails, and joints by, having these bones. Also, it helps you to not waste so much, because then when you are cooking, you save your scraps, you save these things, and it creates, abundance in that way, because you're not throwing everything away. Okay. And also you're using every part of the animal, and it makes, the fact that when you do eat an animal, right, you do want to, don't want to waste it, rather, because this is a life, and it is I think to a degree, a way of noticing that you are receiving life from something else that had life in the first place. So eating an animal does not have to be the worst thing in the world. And this is me kind of discussing that, the spectrum of veganism to carnivorism, because it is a spectrum, honey. You don't have to be all the way left or all the way right. And this is where I am looking at General Simba, and I'm seeing that I'm totally cool with this guy reading and getting information, just like in general as a society, I'm good with us like learning. And but I feel like sometimes we just stop at the most basic lessons and we just believe that, and then we end up doing things in the most archaic ways and not thinking forward into, because, also we feel like we've gotten there already with the rise of technology and how we've watched the computers evolve. We think we're already there. But I feel like there actually is so much more quote unquote technology, because you got to remember, technology is not an exclusive word to computers. You can have fabric technology, you can have, there's technology in everything to a degree, and then we can get into clothing and how, like they do moisture wicking. That's technically a technology of fabric. They use some materials to figure out what would do, the thing. Okay, I'm kind of like making this very, what I want to call this. Like, I'm making this very, very elementary. Y'all already know this, I know, but I'm just pointing it out so that I can speak on the other subjects, because this also is a way of learning, using other principles to learn about a different principle, even if it seems totally disconnected or whatever. But yes, and that's really my whole rant for today. Like, I'm really not going to go too far into everything that Simba is talking about and the nature people are talking about in this rant today. Yes, okay. I'm not gonna go super far. I'm just gonna kind of keep it basic, since we're talking about the basics in a very tongue-in-cheek kind of way. But hello to everybody in the chat. Let me see. I'll shout y'all out, and then I'm gonna turn this one off because we almost at 30 minutes, and I'm gonna get ready for today. I got some errands to run. I just really wanted to get back to this channel. I love this channel because all I do is just kind of like, spread my ideas and whatnot. And hopefully, at some point, y'all can, get in and talk about some stuff too. Um, yeah. So, all right. What's up, Heather? Thank you for saying hi. Hey, Molly. Hey, Ira. Ira. I can't say your name. I'm so sorry. I'm going to call you Ira until maybe you can give me a phonetic pronunciation so I don't mess that up. How you doing? Be nice to others. And hey, ADB. How y'all doing today? I hope y'all are having a wonderful Thursday. It's almost Friday, y'all. I have been in the house. I've been being lazy because, yeah, I've been working a lot, like I said in the beginning. But yes, I will be taking it easy. I have to go back to work tomorrow. And I will see you guys sometime soon, probably, because usually when I get on here, I'll be on a roll, So probably sometime soon. And yeah. All right. Thank y'all for listening. Bye. Y'all leave me some comments.